and the iron hand in England's green and pleasant land. No music for the...
Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. Keeping on with the Q theme. We got some more Q posts for you here. I'm going to read through them first. Keep in mind, if you want to skip through to the analysis, just click on the timestamp below. Here we go. 53 minutes after the hour of 8, responding to an Anon who says, Q, any comment on North Korea facilities and General Kelly? Thanks. Q says, North Korea equals fake news, UK origin. North Korea already began denuclearization process under guidance from US. Rapid. Why are people always being moved around? Think strategy, the plan, military op, Q. 3 minutes after the hour of 9, responding to an Anon who says, so is Q telling us Haspel knows of the program, but doesn't know where it is located at? She needs to locate it and terminate it. Time to dig for Ramos therapist. And then we have this Q post from February 18. At Snowden, where are you? Not Russia. Eyes on. You are now a liability. Helping at Jack. Project Deep Dream. V2A. We will never forget. ES failed. Where is ES? John Perry Barlow. To find the end. The day of reckoning is upon us. John 3:16. Q. And then we have a synopsis of the Jason Bourne film plot, which is too blurry to read. Down here, the Anon post. The CIA's targeted assassination beta program known as Iron Hand. Deep Dream equals Twitter. Q says think Bourne. Covert ops classified. Career installed. Think cell. Pass dropped go missing. Q. 14 minutes after the hour of 9, we get a security test. Q. 20 minutes after the hour of 9, responding to an Anon who posts this, auto thread deleted or pruned. And then it gives the Anon who put it, LB what? Pick of last bread. Also, error, 502 host error, DDoS. Q says site under attack, info shared, highly sensitive. Q. 54 minutes after the hour of 10, coordinated effort to ramp pro-violent attacks. 4chan, 8chan, /poll threads. Mods controlled 4chan. Stage to frame pro-POTUS supporters. Push violence. Trap. Share blue. Coordinated RL attacks. I'm assuming that's real life. Link. Cause and effect. MSM outcry to force action. It's already begun. Small to large. And then we have a Huffington Post link. Anticipated. Goal. Ready David. Q. 14 minutes after the hour of 11. Responding to this from Anon here. Is Ryan still there because he is going to support POTUS? This was a June 12th post. Q says, who brings the votes? House floor. Who decides? Why is this important? What is coming? Full weight of the House. Some must remain clean, distance from what is about to happen. Q. And Q adds on saying, what vote occurred today? Full weight of the House. Why is this relevant? Provides supportable grounds for deadline. Q. 18 minutes after the hour of 11, responding to an Anon who leaves this link here by Brock and Dorsey in brackets with a mention of Corsi in brackets. Huh? BS meter went off the charts with this one. Q says, we are waiting for a reporter to ask the ultimate question. What are they waiting for? They can end this anytime simply by asking POTUS, right? We may have to force this one. Q. 59 minutes after the hour of 11, responding to an Anon who says, I almost hope they don't ask. It would be fun to watch them try to manage the spin when 90% of the country is aware of you and all that you've been shining a light on while the MSM still can acknowledge it. I can see them squirming now. Q says, it must happen. Conspiracy no more. Think of every post made. It would force us to prove everything stated to avoid looking crazy, correct? What do they fear the most? Public awakening. If they ask, they self-destruct. They know this is real. See attacks. The build is near complete, growing exponentially. You are the frame. You are the support. People will be lost. People will be terrified. People will reject. People will need to be guided. Do not be afraid. We will succeed. Timing is everything. Think Huber. Think DOJ, FBI reorganization. Think sex, child arrest /news. Think resignations, loss of control. How do you remove evil in power unless you reveal the ultimate truth? It must be compelling to avoid a divide. Political attack /optics. We are the majority, growing. Worldwide. Sheep no more. Together. Q. Taking you back to the first post Responding to an Anon who says, Q, any comment on North Korea facilities and General Kelly? Thanks. Q says, North Korea equals fake news, UK origin. North Korea already began denuclearization process under guidance from US. Rapid. And I would imagine Q's talking about this. I saw this article actually going around a couple days ago. This is from 38north.org. Infrastructure improvements at North Korea's Yongbyon nuclear research facility. Now, this Stimson company, I couldn't really figure out exactly what they did. They have innovative ideas, changing the world. It's always these really, really kind of ethereal terms. But this all goes down to talk about how, you know, they're using these pictures that I could have sworn I've seen before. Now, these may be new pictures. It's claiming that it's off the Pleiades, which is from here, Airbus. They have the Pleiades satellite. And, excuse me. And so they're showing these pictures here saying that, they've been building a little bit extra and I'll let you kind of check this, the article out. The article is not necessarily poorly written, but it's hard to really know where these dates are from. It just says Pleiades 2018. So it doesn't really give any sort of real date comparison. Now, of course, it says so in the pictures, but you can't really compare. It's hard to really know which date, is on the pictures. So anyway, Q is saying that is fake news and that North Korea has already begun the nuclearization process under guidance from them. And then Q says, rapid, sounds like it's moving fast. It's hard to really know. We never really get those pictures either. But, we've known to trust Q over the months. As far as the narrative goes. So we'll just kind of have to stay posted on this. But these pictures, it's hard to know. I mean, it seems really cool and sciencey and everything like that, but it's just pointing stuff out. It doesn't really show exactly what's being done. You can look at this article for yourself. All right. Why are people always being moved around? And I'm assuming that they are talking about General Kelly. And let's catch something that we got on the news earlier about General Kelly.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm sorry to cut you short. We want to tell you this. This show is learning tonight, as a Fox News alert, from well-informed sources in the administration that White House Chief of Staff General John Kelly may be preparing to leave his job, likely very soon. Now, Kelly is an honorable and capable man, and one of the most impressive ever to hold that post, and many will be sad to see him go, me included. The question is, who replaces him? Now,
well, that must have struck John Kelly as odd, as he says, I'm still here currently. So who knows? But the word is that John Kelly could be on his way out as chief of staff. Could be Hope Hicks replacing him. But as of now, John Kelly says he is still here. Now, Q says, why are people always being moved around? Think strategy, the plan, military op. So I would assume if there's a military op coming up, they might need a qualified general. So maybe that's why Kelly is stepping aside. And of course, a lot of people have been wanting Hope Hicks to step into some role. So could it be chief of staff? We will see. But I would assume that these people are being moved around, A, for safety. And of course, Q is mentioning strategy and a military op involving, of course, the plan. So keeping the deep state on their toes, moving people around, making sure that the deep state is not really sure how to react politically or strategically. And it looks like the bigger part of the plan is going to involve a military op and most likely a general. All right, let's move on. 3 minutes after the hour of 9. Anon says, so is Q telling us Haspel knows of the program but doesn't know where it's located at? She needs to locate it and terminate it. Time to dig for Ramos therapist. And then Q takes us back to these, we get this old post from February mentioning Project Deep Dream, and it looks like a version 2. And of course, Project Deep Dream, we'll talk about that in a second. He goes on to mention Jason Bourne, the film, of course, in which Deep Dream is mentioned in. Let me just show you that real quick. And this is the plot from Wikipedia. Whoops, excuse me. Now, this guy Dewey works for this Edwin Russell, director of national intelligence. This is in the plot of the movie. Dewey is scheduled to attend the convention for a public debate on privacy rights with Aaron Kallur, CEO of social media giant Deep Dream. Kallur is the public face of corporate social responsibility in the internet age, but he was secretly funded by Dewey in the startup stage. Dewey intends to use Deep Dream for real-time mass surveillance along the latest incarnation of the CIA's targeted assassination beta program known as Iron Hand. When Kahlua has second thoughts about giving the CIA access to Deep Dream, Dewey authorizes the asset to assassinate Kahlua and Lee, having discovered her conspiracy moments ago. All right, and if you'd like to get a little primer on Deep Dream, you can always go to my video here, In Pursuit of Truth Presents 2 Minutes of Truth, Episode 3, Deep Dream. I will leave the link below. It's only a 1 minute and 48 minute video, but you can check it out there. Let me take you over to their website. This is the Deep Dream Generator. And let me just read these parts right here. Number 1, Deep Style. The technique is a much more advanced version of the original Deep Dream approach. It is capable of using its own knowledge to interpret a painting style and transfer it to the uploaded image. And you can see that basically what it really does, it's an AI. Okay, and it does a lot of learning, and it does a lot of facial recognition technology. It uses a lot of that. That's how it recreates a lot of these different images by reproducing more and more images. Pareidolia is what they call it, I believe. But it is also it's an AI, so it's a learning program. So from what I can understand, it uses its own knowledge to interpret, meaning it interprets your thoughts. It can interpret possibly even your dreams. And of course, when you start to think about like the movie Inception and stuff like that, which also mentioned programs kind of like this Deep Dream, it starts to get really, really creepy. And from what I can understand, that this Deep Dream is so sophisticated that it can even do a lot of the facial recognition through your screen. Forget the camera, right through your screen. So some really, really creepy stuff. And Q is turning on us to the fact that Deep Dream equals Twitter. And of course, Twitter is a massive social media giant, and that would be Jack Dorsey. Q says think born. Okay, and of course they're talking about this beta program known as Iron Hand. Now Iron Hand is also the name of the really large scale surveillance program out there in China. That's basically the Iron Hand program. So this looks like some really, really creepy, nefarious stuff. AI being used as a mass surveillance that can reproduce images, uses it basically targets you, targets your learning, targets your thought, and targets your dreams. So sleep well tonight, folks. Q says covert ops classified, career installed, think cell, pass drops go missing. Now I'll be honest with you, at this moment I'm not really sure what all this means, but I would assume that Haspel is on the lookout for these covert ops that are classified. Now, as far as the career installed, perhaps they're looking for somebody who, kind of like a Jason Bourne, is running around messing with this Deep Dream and trying to, who knows, maybe they're trying to affect the elections. And then the Q talks about pass drops go missing, so they could be using this to try and mess with the boards as well too. But either way, this Deep Dream stuff is super duper creepy. Have a look at the video when you get a chance, and sweet dreams. Let's move on. Next post is at 14 minutes after 9. Q gives a security test. 20 minutes after Anon. Response to Anon who posted this. Looks like there was a picture here taken away. Something was taken away. And this Anon says, what? Pic of last bread. Also error 502 host error DDoS. And what they're talking about, the bread, is usually some sort of thread, this thread here that's been deleted. And Q says the site is under attack. Info shared, highly sensitive. Yeah, I guess whatever we're trying to get at, and it looks like a lot of us Anons are still trying to figure out who Haspel is necessarily looking for. We're trying to figure out how it's related to this Deep Dream program. So it looks like Q was probably going to throw us some more bones, and because of the sensitive information, they may have had to take that down, or who knows, somebody was trying to get at that. We shall see. Now let's move on to the next post. 54 minutes after the hour of 10. Coordinated effort to ramp pro-violent attacks. Looks like on 4chan, 8chan, all these threads, these I don't want to really call them just social media, but posting boards thread like 8chan and 4chan, which is where Q got started. Mods controlled. Looks like they're controlled over there in 4chan. Staged to frame pro-POTUS supporters. So if you're a pro-Trump guy, you're a MAGA person, and you're posting on these boards, who knows, maybe they're going to start trying to push violence your way, whether they're trying to incite you to violence, or incite others to kind of lure you into violence, I would say be very, very careful on social media over the next couple weeks. And then Q mentions Share Blue. And this Share Blue, of course, is that's David Brock's project right here. Let me take you. This is off the Washington Free Beacon. And where's from January 2017. David Brock Share Blue to be nucleus of multi-platform anti-Trump media entity. David Brock, the Democratic operative who founded the left-wing Media Matters for America, plans to use a news entity he recently purchased as the nucleus of his efforts to delegitimize President Donald Trump, according to confidential documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. Brock spent this past weekend gathered with more than 100 deep-pocketed Democratic donors at the posh Turnberry Isle Resort in Aventura, Florida, to map out a course to kick Donald Trump's ass. The Free Beacon obtained the memo at the donor retreat. Okay, so this was a year ago, but Q is mentioning Share Blue. And of course, Share Blue is a massive media venture. Who knows? Maybe they're using this deep blue, or this deep dream to use the AI for all this staging of attacks. And it looks like the attacks are going to ramp up. They're probably going to ramp up on 8chan, and we're not going to really see them here so much because all these posts kind of go through already. We don't have to sift through the 8chan, which is why I don't read off of 8chan. And Q says coordinated RL. I'm assuming that's real life attacks. And I'm not exactly sure what they mean by link, but I'm assuming it's going to be linked to 4chan, or they're going to try to link it to POTUS supporters. That's what it seems like. They're probably going to have some more false flags, and they're probably going to blame it on all us QAnons because we're so dangerous. Q says cause and effect. MSM outcry to force action. It's already begun. Yeah, they have gotten so out of hand that we've kind of had to deal with them, haven't we? And of course, the rhetoric has just gotten super, super ugly. And it takes us to a link here. This is off the Huffington Post. The dark parts of the internet are celebrating the Capitol Gazette slayings. Within hours of the mass shooting Thursday at the Capitol Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland, the worst factions of the internet were doing what they do best, starting the false flag thread, celebrating that leftists, in this case 5 people in a newsroom, were dead, and worrying about how this horrible shooting would play for conservatives. All right, let me stop right there. I don't think any of us knew that those 5 people in a newsroom were leftists. We don't know that. And a false flag just means something, the intention is incorrect. Doesn't necessarily mean that people died. So already we got a hit piece by Andy Campbell. The shooting just happened recently, and already this guy's going after Q. Dead journalists can't spread leftist propaganda, one 8chan user wrote. Can we see it? Can we see where he wrote that? I noticed you had a Twitter link here, but you didn't post that. Here we go. Right on time. Another on the subreddit, the Donald wrote, as another said, so it begins. On Twitter, Spectre, a white supremacist podcast host, made fun of an intern at the Gazette begging for help during the shooting and said, I wonder if it's only journalists or if any real people got hurt. Okay, so clearly it's another hit piece, and they're going straight for Q because they know that Q is about to enter prime time. After all, Q is one of the most influential people on the internet, just like Sean King. Not the football player Sean King, the other one that I don't know. Q says anticipated, goal, ready David, and of course he's mentioning to David Brock. So it looks like this is all just another bunch of it's just another attack on us. They know that Q is not going to be denied. They know that Q is going to start entering the mainstream mass attention, if you will, and it looks like guys like David Brock, they're ready to kick Trump's ass, so they're going to do it through the Huffington Post by talking some smack about Q. Sweet. Let's move on. Next post, 14 minutes after the hour of 11. We get this post from back on June 12th. Is Ryan still there because he's going to support POTUS? Who brings the votes? That's, of course, Ryan. Who decides? Why is that important? What is coming? The full weight of the House. Some must remain clean distance from what is about to happen. Q. And Q says, what vote occurred today? And, of course, that was the resolution. And they want everything in regards to the Russian investigation. The whole kit and caboodle. The Whopper with cheese. Why is this relevant? Provides supportable grounds for what? For impeachment. The deadline? Well, I believe they said 7 days. Now, there's some debate there, but I would believe that would take us up to the 6th, from what I would understand, if you're counting business days, I guess. Wouldn't that be the 6th? But there were some people that made a good point that maybe all these forthcoming references could mean that something could be coming on the 4th as far as information goes. But from what I understand, this, if they're giving you 7 days, I would assume that would take us up to the 6th. You tell me if I'm wrong on that, but that seems like that would be correct. But either way, looks like Rod Rosenstein will be impeached if they don't. And of course, if you've watched any of this over the last couple of days, this guy is so snarky. He doesn't seem to have any interest in collecting all this information and sending it our way. And of course, we know why. So we will see what happens if the full weight of the House comes down. I can't help but imagine anything other than that at this point. The deep state knows they're cornered, and they're not just going to cough that up. So that's what happened today, the resolution. We'll see what happens in a few days. But hopefully that's going to lead for impeachment. And finally, maybe we can move the hell on, like Trey Gowdy says. Let's move the hell on. 18 minutes after the hour of 11. This Anon posts this link right here, and this is pretty interesting stuff. This is to a link called America with a K. QAnon, The Path to Dictatorship by Brock Dorsey? Brock Dorsey? Do you mean David Brock and Jack Dorsey? Virtually everyone following politics has heard of the QAnon story, religiously followed by a growing mass of disciples and vehemently assaulted by a variety of left-wing propagandists ranging from Vice to Newsweek. The validity of its claims have sparked a uniquely passionate debate on both sides. The ones championing its teaching as unquestionable truth range from image board dwelling millennials to a considerable number of boomers, be it truly the broadcast of insider intel or merely the flagship conspiracy of our time. It's certainly an exciting read that provides quality entertainment for the end times. Okay, so it looks like this would kind of start off like a pro-Q piece, but of course we got this America with a K. That doesn't seem right. Now, I'm not going to read this all here, but I want to take you down here where they start to talk about this here. According to veteran investigative reporter and best-selling author Dr. Jerome Corsi, he was approached 3 years ago by a group of generals and told that Donald Trump had been recruited by U.S. military intelligence to run in the 2016 presidential elections and subsequently help remove corrupt deep state officials from positions of power. Corsi claims that QAnon represents the same group of senior military intelligence officials who were exposing the deep state corruptions and officials involved in a history of treasonous actions against the U.S. Republic. Okay, so this piece is really, really interesting if you read it. And as you can see, it's kind of a big one, so I'm not going to cover it all right now. But I'll leave it for you here. But what's curious about this is that it is not necessarily a hit piece on Q. But what it does is it makes you kind of cock your head at the whole thing. It's not going to outright just, go full out, call it a hit piece. But let's just read the last paragraph here. It's possible that Q is just a conspiracy theory, and it's also possible that it's real, but to assume either may underestimate its purpose and its potential. Q may instead be a sign of the empire to come and a powerful weapon in crafting its long overdue reign. If this is the case, we can look forward to an end of many of the liberal woes we've seen over the last 50 years. So, pretty interesting piece. Like I said, it's not necessarily a hit piece. It's just I think it just makes you question it. And of course, it does it in an intelligent manner. So it's not necessarily this terribly written article, but it is one of those things to kind of plant sort of this seed of doubt. And I find it very interesting that Q is talking about David Brock and Twitter, and we get this article by Brock Dorsey. Seems very strange. Anon says the same thing by Brock Dorsey with a mention of Corsi. That's Brock Dorsey Corsi, huh? Bull, you know what, meter off the charts with this one. Q says, we're waiting for a reporter to ask the ultimate question. What are they waiting for? They can end this at any time simply by asking POTUS, right? We may have to force this one. Well, this one is really, really interesting. It will be I'm going to be very curious to see how President Trump tackles this, because I can't imagine the mainstream media really wanting to go after that question with President Trump, because they know they'll probably get an answer. President Trump doesn't mince his words and will probably be very, very clear. Now, with this force, I have a feeling we're going to be looking for that keyword somewhere. So whether it's in a tweet, whether it is in a speech, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a reference to forcing. And of course, the geek in me started to think, I wonder if there will be some sort of crazy Star Wars reference, but that's just the geek in me. We will see. I don't want to force that joke. Let's move on. Next post. An Anon says, I almost hope they don't ask. It would be fun to watch them try to manage the spin when 90% of the country is aware of you and all that you've been shining a light on while the MSM still can acknowledge it. I can see them squirming now. I have to say, I kind of agree with Anon here. I think that's hilarious. Q says, it must happen. Conspiracy no more. Think of every post made. Yeah, we've had almost 2,000 now at this point. It would force us to prove everything stated to avoid looking crazy. Right. Yeah, if you line up all those Q posts and you put that on a wall, there's some memes there where there's people pointing to it on a wall. It does. It looks like one of these crazy psycho killer kind of things, all these different posts, whatever. So it would make you look crazy. However, if you can prove it all, it makes you look genius. And that's what they fear the most, because they know that if they ask the president, or if they ask people who actually know about Q, as opposed to Vice and these, whoever Brock Dorsey is, these people aren't going to give you the complete straight answer. And what would that lead to? That would lead to a public awakening. Because if people actually educated people on Q, they're going to find out. And of course, if they ask, they self-destruct because it's the very entity trying to take them down. And they know it's real. See attacks. The build is nearly complete, growing exponentially. Yeah, we are getting new Q viewers every single day. To those of you who are new to this phenomenon, welcome to you. Feel free to ask questions below. We have some of the most knowledgeable people around here right down there in the comment section. So if you have a question about what I'm talking about, you want to ask me, you're always welcome to email me. Incidentally, sorry that I haven't been responding to too many emails lately. I'm just overwhelmed with this Q stuff. But please send me messages, send me your stuff, send your comments down below. Someone will help you, and that's what we need right now. We are the frame, the support. People will be lost. People will be terrified. People will reject. People will need to be guided. Yeah, think about this. When their heroes come tumbling down, and we're already starting to see warning signs of this already. Maxine Waters is imploding. Pelosi is imploding. Hollywood, they're eating themselves. And they've got no real platform to run off of other than just being anti-Trump. And people aren't buying it. People are getting red-pilled by the day. And that's going to scare a lot of people. They're going to reject this. A lot of people already are rejecting common sense. But after a while, you can't reject these things. And once all this pedophilia stuff comes out, even some of the most hardcore liberals are not going to get down with the sickness, if you know what I mean. They are not going to be for that. Look, I think the majority of the people in this world are not pedophiles. Now, it seems like we've got an epidemic of pedophiles, but I think the majority of people are still going to be good. They're going to be scared, and they're going to want to know what's up. And they're going to probably come to channels like this. They're going to ask you. They're going to want guidance. They're going to want intros. They're going to want Q proofs. They're going to want to know what this is all about. Q says, do not be afraid. We will succeed. Timing is everything. Think Huber. Remember, 470 prosecutors all running under the radar. Think DOJ and FBI reorganization. I think, personally, this has been one of the toughest parts of the Q journey, if you will, this whole process of kind of restructuring the DOJ and FBI. That's when we had really the most trolls. I know for me, that was kind of when the ugliest part as far as trying to get things done online. My internet was always getting killed, and I was getting, banned from everything. It was just a kind of a tough time for that. It was a tough thing, but that we got through all that. Think sex, child arrest news. We're starting to see more and more of these pedophiles get arrested by the day. And it's sickening, and that's not partisan. People aren't partisan about that. They're going to want to know what's up. Think resignations, loss of control. Shoot, just had a Supreme Court justice step down. It devastated the left. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the Supreme Court justice was related to any sex, child crimes, or anything like that, but there's clearly a reason for all these arrests and all these resignations. And of course, we've got a massive, massive list of all these resignations. And for those of you who are new to Q, if somebody could maybe post with that link down below, I don't have it on me right now, but there's a massive, and it's always getting updated. It's a Google spreadsheet of these resignations, CEOs. You can't deny it. How do you remove evil in power unless you reveal the ultimate truth? Yeah, at this point, that's about all we can do. Because arguing with the other side and making this about partisan politics, it's just not going to happen. And let's face it, we're not here to do partisan politics. We're here to take down the deep state. That's what's important. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is by showing evidence. It must be compelling to avoid a divide, political attack optics. So Q's very aware that this is going to have to be something that's going to be so clear as day that you can't deny it. We are the majority growing worldwide. We've got people from every country around here. Got people from Africa, got people from Iran, got people from Iraq, we've got people from India, we've got people from Canada, the UK, Ireland, Australia, you name it. And of course, the good old US of A. We are worldwide patriots, and we're sheep no more, because you know why? We are together. All right. That is all I got for you today. Folks, my head is done. I don't know how many posts that was. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it was about 30 posts today. It was a ton. Hey, Q, maybe slow down a little bit. Love you, bro. Those are your Q posts for today. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. And know that if Q gets to posting again, I will be up at it. Hey, Q, just give me like 5 hours of sleep. Just give me 5 hours of sleep. All right. Hey, it's my absolute pleasure bringing some of this. I sometimes like some of the lesser posts because I can spend a little bit more time diving in on this stuff rather than having to kind of plow through this. But anyway, hope some of this research helped you today. And as always, like I said, if anything new comes up, I will be on it as soon as I can get my head around it. Until then, won't you join me on Twitter at IPOT1776? That's IPOT 1776. And of course, I'm also on Gab as well too. All right, that's all I got for you. Until next time, stay off the crack or you'll break your mother's back.